meeting we had last week, because we also have the presence of Mr. Powder and the sports officers in education. And very early, it was something that I flagged as to explain how that relationship between education, the sports officers in education, and the sport officers in and the Department of Sport relates. We at a meeting of the division heads last week and the chief secretary, it was also flagged that that is an area that needs to be urgently addressed. There cannot exist that anomaly between education and its sports activities and programs and the Department of Sport. So it is important, therefore, in terms of going forward, that we bring some kind of structure to that relationship to ensure that at the end of the day it redounds to the benefit of our programs in the school and sport in wider. What I would have asked Mr. Price to do is to ask the coaches in the respective disciplines to put together a report on their area. There were some areas that we got no reports. And I trust that the persons who didn't would be prepared today to give some insight into what is happening in their area. We have some reports, as I said, but there are some that we have none. And therefore, those persons will have to give their reports, their perspective verbally. Those that the reports were submitted prior, we would be distributing, circulating copies of that report, those reports, so that you can have an idea of what your colleagues have said and suggested and have recommended and assessed. So without any further ado, I think we'd want to go into the program this morning in terms of, let me begin by getting some feedback on one of the areas of concern, which is our elite teams and elite programs. And I guess we can begin with cricket, and then thereafter we'd move from there. But I think in terms of, as it relates to the elite teams, I would like to begin with that area, our elite teams, and how is the elite program run, how is it expected to operate, a little history, and from there we would then move to the other areas. All right.
Advise parents from being misled that if their children participate in sport, they will fail common entrance or would not excel. We have to instill a method to the parents. I don't know if we have to make an incentive for the schools or an incentive to the sport to change the frame of mind of parents with relation to sport and actually studying, because I wasn't the brightest boy in school, and I never study. I'm telling you the truth, I never study. The only time I study is when exam coming around. And that never made me lesser than the A-class student. And I'm in a position where I excel to university. And it's there I did all my studies. I never studied in secondary school. And I made 6 subjects without studying. It's not to say when I was bright. I was in B, I was in D, and I wasn't the brightest. And he had people in H who had more subjects than me, or were more qualified than me in H. So we have to step aside from parents saying that you can't play because you have exam. Let me use Mr. Trim's word, dovetail sport and studying or education. Because sometimes you play sport and you study very well. So if we if we instill that into parents, I think we could get a better solution than parents just taking their children are away from us and say, well, you can't play because let either Mr. Cadet or Mr. Trim or Mr. Price or Mr. Granville explain to the parent, hey, your daughter could be the next Dwight York. Your daughter could be Jean Pierre. And let us change that kind of ancient kind of thinking because sport is money.
We looked at a number of issues for the first question. The animal that comes to mind when you reflect on the image and functioning of the department, you know. And we thought about a full-belly serpent who, you know, just lies in the bush. We thought about a truck, but we couldn't find an animal name for any truck that exists before nor now, going up a hill with blocks on it with handbrakes up. So we were having fun, but we settled on the eagle. And I want to thank Mr. Motley, his vision for the eagle, hovering, looking around, spreading its wings, and understanding what it has to do, possibly landing or not landing. But we chose the eagle for number one. In terms of what animal comes to mind when our clients and customers reflect on the image and functioning of the department at this point, we chose the snail. Because of course we have our technical area of coaching and support for our various sporting disciplines and sporting events. We have our maintenance area, we have our administrative staff. We do a lot in terms of giving assistance and funding for various sporting organizations, but we really believe at this table that we've been acting in most of our areas too slowly. So we looked at the snail. And finally, in terms of the animal that comes to mind, in terms of what you would like to see, we chose, almost like Powder Nibble, we chose the cheetah. Something that sits and looks, deciphers, makes up his mind, and then pounces and delivers the goods.
Remember, we're working in a department, we're working within groups with young people and so on. And we have to assist. Right? Tough ground for tough men and tough women. Right? And all of you sitting down here are not by accident. You are chosen. You are in the chosen few. So you're not by accident sitting down here. All right? And all of you know your role, whether you're a facilitator, you're a coach, you're a manager, your role is not just the simple name. And a coach is everything. Those of us who coach know a coach is father, brother, sister, pastor, coach, everything. Right? So we continue in the culture of our profession. And one of the things we do is we give. Right? We give. So you all have just contributed to the facilitator from Toko fund. So thank you very much. Thank you all very, very much, right? I was hoping to reach 200, but nevertheless, you set your goal, right? And when you set your goal, you may not reach your goal immediately, but at least you achieve something. So I wouldn't win the gold medal, but I bring the silver. I reach 100, right? We might say that's the bronze. Huh? Good. All right, so we could move on now. So I give the explanation, right? I give the explanation, but I know we still want that and all kind of thing, but that's okay, that's okay, that's okay.